I denied a cop the bathroom code at Subway. So, I was working at Subway a few years ago and a man came in with his wife and 2 children. I had all 4 sandwiches started when the man asked me for the code to the bathroom. The policy was you had to make a purchase to get the bathroom code, but by the way he was doing the potty dance, it was pretty apparent this guy needed to go. Obviously, either he or his wife will pay for the 4 sandwiches I've already started. The next day, my boss sits me down and lectures me about how the code is on the receipt for a reason. She watched the tape and see me give the man the code and tells me, I don't care who it's for. Whether it's your friend, family, whatever, you name it, you do not give it the code under any circumstances. Later on, that night, I was working by myself when some guy in a trench coat and greasy long hair came in the side door and said, "Hey man, somebody got seriously F up outside." A long line of customers waited for me while I subtly grabbed the bread knife, sharp as duck, and went around to check. It wasn't the best part of town, so you never know with people. Anyways, as trench coat man stated, someone was seriously ducked up outside. His face was all bloody and he was just a mess. I called 911 and went back to making sandwiches. Sometime later, a few cop cars and an ambulance showed up. They were doing their business outside and then one of the officers comes in and asks for the bathroom code. Like 6 hours earlier, my boss told me not to give it under any circumstances without a purchase. I laughed a little and told him what I told all the other customers, I'm sorry, you have to make a purchase first. You can get a cookie which is cents, and then it'll be on the receipt. He didn't realize the laugh was really at myself and how awkward of a situation he unknowingly put me in, nor did I have a chance to explain it before the laugh and the rejection of the bathroom code caused the cop to become straight up furious. He gives me 3 warnings to give him the code. Each time I tell him I'm not going to give it to him and the customers are on my side telling him I'm just doing my job. After his 3rd warning, he shook his head and muttered, "I can't believe you are interfering with an ongoing investigation," and he uses the walkie on his shoulder to get some information. About 5 minutes later, one of the cops handed me a phone. I answered and my manager said, "Are you ducking serious?" Long story short, the cop got the bathroom code and a free bag of chips.
Now to the comments. You just chewed me out for giving out the code. That was not fun for me.
If someone chews me out, I walk out of the job. I'm not a ducking monkey.
I just laugh and do exactly as they say, because it is never what they mean. Case in point, I worked at a Walmart for about a year and I worked in the deli. One day, some bigwigs from corporate were coming in and they didn't like how many cooked chickens I had out, both fried and rotisserie, and I pointed out that it was 10:30 a.m. and we never sell more than one of these things this early in the morning. I do a small batch first then a larger batch for lunchtime. So, I asked them how many they want me to put out and they said the absolute magic words, "Fill it up and keep it full." Oh no, you said the worst thing possible. I took pride in the fact that the food waste in the deli had dropped to near nothing since I started working, but not that day. I did exactly as they told me to do. I ignored every other part of my job and I only focused on making chicken and putting out the hot food. Every hour and a half I were cooking fresh food, and enough to fill up both hot cases. Turns out they really didn't actually want me to blow through about $3,000 in food that day, but they did tell me to fill it up and keep it full. Turns out when you only sell a few of each thing for people who are on breaks, you don't sell hardly anything and putting any extra out is always a loss. I got told to go back to how I was doing it the very next day. I then let them know we didn't have any more chicken to cook and we would be out for the next week. Corporate doesn't know shit. I answered and my manager said, "Are you ducking serious?" Long story short, the cop got the bathroom code. I mean, by that point you might as well swing ya dick and tell the manager you're going to need him to come down and buy something.
That would be the perfect response.
And my manager said, "Are you ducking serious?" I think the answer to that was, "Weren't you?"
Perfect response.
How many times do employers say that, under no circumstances, just to give exempted circumstances arise?
It's far easier to tell people what they should do when you don't have to do it yourself. A good manager hires staff and then trains them to the point that they can trust them to make sensible decisions without having to be walked through it. A bad manager doesn't trust their staff and sets rules. A really shitty manager gets upset at staff when they're doing anything they don't approve of, regardless of whether it affects the job, company, or other customers.
It pisses me off when managers make a blanket statement and then fold anytime an actual customer talks to them about it. Like no waiving late fees. It's hammered into us all day, every day about how we don't waive a late fee for any reason no matter what. We get a list of talking points to explain why. We have to sit there and get hollered at by customers as we keep telling them no. Even times when there are perfectly good reasons to waive them, we have gone through this whole song and dance first. We're supposed to tell them no multiple times before giving the higher-up's phone number, so they get super upset and demand to speak to someone higher up. And of course, the moment they do that, instead of defending us for following the policy, they just instantly give in and waive the fee. And now, the people who have the most interaction with the customers are the clear bad guys. There is no stupid question. We are like a family here. We are a team. Safety is number one here.
Management has taken an interest in you.
Please hold on, your call is important to us. A representative will be with you in a moment. We are currently experiencing a high call volume, and we want to ensure each customer has their needs met. Since you said under no circumstances, I'm going to assume that you're testing me to make sure I comply with your previous instructions. Don't worry, I won't give him the code.
I'm getting SpongeBob vibes from that response, smiley.
I was thinking more PVT. Dick Simmons. What did the manager think under any circumstances meant?
Under any circumstances for someone like that means, never do it unless a situation arises that the person themselves would allow the rule to change in a certain scenario. What those scenarios are completely in their head and you should be a psychic to figure that out. /sarcasm.
No /s needed, that's exactly what's happening. Yes, boss, I'm serious, because I thought you were serious when you said no exceptions. Unless you give me, in writing, a list of all the exceptions I'm supposed to remember. No purchase means no bathroom code.
He was given a bag of chips too.